Hello, I'm AD Ramsey of Davita Handcraft Soap, and today we're doing a testing. For my sugar and salt scrubs, I'm moving away from the plastic containers for the market. I still will be using the plastic containers for shipping because it has a tight lid and I can put a protective barrier in case it still leaks. But for the market, we're going to be using the deli cup type of containers. So this particular one has a coffee scrub, and I wanted to make sure that and this is what it looks like. And I wanted to make sure that it didn't leak, even if you left it in the shower, which I have left this in the shower. I made it on 2/24/21. It's now March 30th, and it's not, it has water stains, of course. I even took the lid and let the water run in the lid a whole time that I was in the shower. I had this top off and let water get into it as well, so I could test to make sure that I had enough preservative in here, because this is sugar, and of course mold grows faster on sugar than it would be on salt. But I just want to test the theory of that. So it's held up pretty good. So now it's time for me to test a salt batch. So this is going to be just for my own personal use, but even so, I'm still going to spray the inside and the outside of the container with rubbing alcohol. That will be our first little test to see if it breaks down before I can even get product in. So I want to make sure that it's doused in that. Just so I can see. And again, it may work. It might run right through. This might be a waste. So who knows? And you know what? Since this is going to be a test, and I'm only going to test for myself, I have a roster, and the next fragrance that I was supposed to use to make this, if it had been in the plastic, was my nemesis, aka Under Love Spell. Clearly, I'm not going to use this because I cannot stand this fragrance. So I'm going to be right back and grab one that I do like. Okay, so I'm going to scent this with some white thyme and a little bit of basil. I like that earthy combination, and I'll probably put just a dog hair of patchouli in here as well. Or no, I know something better. Rosemary, which is my favorite essential oil. So let's get started. This is a very simple recipe. First, we're going to start with the water. And it's a very small test recipe. So we're going to start with 3 ounces of water, distilled. And we're going to take some Castile soap. Right now, my top selling product that I have been selling at the market is the shower steamers. It hasn't caught on like wildfire yet, so I still have to explain to people what they are. And look, this hasn't dried yet. That's concerning, because I didn't spray the last one that I test. I didn't spray that with alcohol on the inside and the outside. And look, I'm nervous. I don't know if this is going to work. But this one held up. We'll see. I have made those shower steamers probably once a week, and I get a batch of about 19. They're pretty good size. Um, and they are selling faster. It's hard for me to keep up at this point. So what's the most popular item that you all are selling right now? Hey, Kenny once asked everybody what was the most craziest thing somebody has told you while you're dealing with the public. Footnote. I'm sure most of you have already guessed. Me out in the public, you never know what you're going to get. You never know what kind of bag I might climb out of when it comes to telling people something. You know, I would never disrespect my elders, even though some of them are so something else. But I wouldn't do that. Unless I really had to. Then I probably would. Who am I kidding? Because I'm a senior citizen myself almost. Almost. Not quite. But the craziest thing someone has ever told me as far as soaping goes. So I'm out here selling soap, right? And I always tell people that I make everything on the table except the bamboo soap dishes. So she looked like, yeah, okay, whatever. And she says to my face, dead ass, straight as she could, "Are you smart enough to make something like this?" Yes, she did. She was so serious when she asked me that. Baby, I know I had a praying grandmother, because I wanted to leap over that table and choke that lady out. How rude. And you know, people say stuff that's off the cuff and you ignore it because, you know, they didn't mean it the way it came out or something. Oh, mama meant that. She meant it just the way she said it. Like, I know your dumb black tail don't know how to make anything other than a mess. And she would be halfway right, but I digress. I was so stunned. I can laugh, I can chuckle about it now, but in the moment, I had to fix my face. Now, the most craziest thing that's ever happened to me that someone has ever said, as most of you, if you're not new around here, I was a chef for many, many years. And in my chefing job, you don't see too many women. You don't see too many women. You don't see too many women of color in managers' positions. And here I was not only a woman of color, I was in charge of a whole kitchen. And what that means is the dish room, the ordering, the pastry station, the hotline, the cold garmager, everything. And not only was I in control of that and responsible for that, I was also on the weekends the cover chef. So I had 2 restaurants that I covered for, that I had to make sure everything was going well. It was very stressful, to say the least, but it, up until that moment, had not been my most stressful job. Man, I'm telling y'all all the business today. So my most stressful job was working at the hospital in the OR, an operating room. So we had to get things together. We had to deal with the doctors. I won't even go on that rant. And so by the time I was in my chefing position, I could care less. It took a lot for them jokers to get on my nerves because I had literally been thrown in positions of life and death. So it weighed itself out. I wasn't intimidated. Stressed, yes. Intimidated, never. So I got a position at a hotel. And I was new, didn't know the property was brand new. And if you've ever been here to Las Vegas, you know that some of these properties are worth upwards to $500 million. It was my first day, and I'm walking down the hall, and this gentleman approaches me. He had on a chef coat, so did I. And he says, "My God, when they told me that they hired a woman, I just couldn't believe it. But now that I see that you're black, this is unbelievable." And as he walked past me, he shoulder bunted me as hard. I'm sure he could have did it even harder, but it did knock me off. It did not knock me off my feet, but I didn't know what to do. I just stood there. I was stunned. So I went out through the day, held it in, held it back. I was very upset, but I couldn't show it. It was my first day. I couldn't get in front of my line cooks, weeping and willowy, and so I held it together. As soon as I got home, I'm out here by myself, mind you. I didn't have any family here at that time. So I called my dad. And when I say boo-hooing, he called my brother, or maybe my brother was there. And so my brother could calm me down and at least tell him what was really going on, because they couldn't understand me. And so my brother says, "Oh, it's okay. I'm sure you just misunderstood him. I tell you what, when you get to work, just put him on the phone. I'll just talk to him and I'm sure he'll apologize." I'm like, I'm not that upset. I know what you're trying to do, sir. So I was just really upset. And my father said, if you don't feel safe, don't go back. Because if something happens, then there'll be some serious consequences. And I knew exactly what that meant. So, and I wasn't fearing for myself at that time. I went back to work, and I wasn't afraid. I didn't think that the guy was going to do anything to me. I just figured he was just a dick and wanted to show off and let me know that he knew that I was a female and I was going to have to work twice as hard because everyone was doubting me. Well, me being me, I showed up and I showed out. You hear me? I took that so personal. Oh, you don't think I can do your job? Watch this. I learned every position in that kitchen. The dishwasher position, the ordering person's position. And when I say I learned it, I started writing people up because they wasn't doing their job. Yes, I was that supervisor. And maybe about 8 months in, the Cosmopolitan was opening. I get a phone call, ring, ring. Hi, can you come down here for a job interview? I'm sorry? We're looking for a chef, and we need somebody to run our night crew. It'll just be you and a small staff, but we need someone, and we're desperate for you to start as soon as possible. And I'm thinking to myself, I ain't applying for no job at the Cosmopolitan. Are you kidding me? Who are you? Thinking to myself. I didn't ask her too many more questions. I took the address, went down there, and as a chef, you have to do what's called a stage. They give you a list of recipes, and you have to make them cold right on the spot. They ask you what are the mother sauces and what do you do with this, that, and the third, and whatnot. So I knew all those answers. It wasn't that big of a deal. So I passed my stage, and since I was there, they gave me my secondary test. A few weeks later, they called, and I worked the actual line. I had to expedite. It was, again, a bunch of men. Not only was it a bunch of men, there weren't even any women in the pastry department. Usually, if it's any chefs, that's where they'll be. There was no women there at all. It was just me. And so they kept asking me all these questions, and then they offered me a job position, and I took it. Put in my notice at my other job. I get down there, and they said, oh, this is the chef you're going to be working with. Okay. I introduced myself and everything. And he says, I'm the one that recommended you for this job. I didn't know him from nobody. And he said, I recommended you to this job because I used to work at, and this was the hotel that I had the problem with the gentleman, if you want to call him that. He said, I watched you every weekend. I didn't work for the hotel. My restaurant was owned separately. It was 2 restaurants that were very high-end, Michelin stars, that the hotel didn't own. They owned a different, somebody else owned them, so they weren't part of our management group. He said, I would watch you run circles around those guys. And when they said they needed a chef down here, you were the first person that I could think of. And I'll tell you this story because you never know who's paying attention to you. You never know that when you're holding yourself together and trying to present yourself as a strong woman, not as a strong brown or black woman, but a strong woman, period. You never know who's watching that and who that may encourage. Again, I didn't know that man from a pile of paint, but he knew me. Not because of who I was or where I had been or anything like that, because he watched me work from afar. So, take this lesson away. You never know who's watching you. You never know who you can be encouraging. Just stay true to yourself and let that carry on to anything you do in life. Not just your business, but be encouraging to younger people around you. I tell my cousins all the time, I do this business at my age. I didn't start doing this until I was 50 years old. I was over 50. But I wanted my cousins to know that if my old tail can figure it out, I know you can. I know you can. If you can be true to yourself at all times, do it. Don't let people knock you off your square. Be encouraging. Because you never know who's watching you. Lecture over. So I'm not going to put any colorant in here. Yeah, I might as well. What the heck? Okay, we're going to put a little Synergy in here. Just a couple of shakes. We'll put just a little bit of activated charcoal. Just so that green won't be so bright. I usually don't put a lot of mica in the soft scrubs because it breaks down. And because this is the fine salt. And this feels a little loose, so I'm going to thicken this up just a little bit more. Okay, so now we're going to get our tester. We'll put in one large one and one smaller one. And I'm nervous because, see, this still has, it looks a little wet on the top and on the bottom. So, I don't know about this one. But we will give it a shot. I will bring you guys back. It'll be just 1 minute for you and 1 month for me. Okay, so it's not 1 month later. It's just a couple of days and womp, 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 womp. As you can see, it's leaking through on the bottom and on the sides. Ooh, let me stand this way. Focus, focus, focus. There we go. Yeah, so that didn't work. We will try something else. I will keep trying and we will see what's what. I appreciate you all watching this video. I know I was a little preachy, but I stand by it. And that's the type of shenanigans and things you might see on this platform. I believe in being honest and being myself. And that's the tea. But you all have a great day. And if you like these type of shenanigans and emotional outbursts, please consider subscribing. Have a great day.